If you're using a Stanley cup, it could be potentially poisoning you. Stanley has admitted to producing the It cup with lead. Lead is known to cause serious damage to the body: brain and nerve damage, behavioral problems, hearing loss, abdominal pain, and more. In this video, we will be testing our own Stanleys and figuring out who will be held accountable in the future, and will it become a lawsuit? But first, I need you to put down that Stanley and hit the subscribe button. How many of you love Stanleys?
Too many people love Stanley.
Yes, it's a phenomenon. It's like a cult.
Are you in the cult?
I'm not.
No.
Are you?
I've always been a Yeti fan.
Okay. All right. Well, a lot of us here in the office are Stanley fans, which is why we have so many here today. And we're going to test them here with you. So we bought these tests, lead tests. You can get them on Amazon for like $10. And we're going to test 2 of these. And at the end of the video, we'll show the results. So you have to dip this in water. Here, I'm going to give you one. And basically you dip it in water and you have to swirl around for 30 seconds, and then we'll put it aside and we'll show everyone whether it has lead or not. So this one is brand new, never been used. And we're gonna do the inside of this white one. And then Bob's gonna do the blue one on the bottom because it is damaged or scratched. So we want to see if that makes any difference. So go ahead and grab your blue Stanley here, and you're just gonna swirl it around for a little bit. So while we're doing this, maybe you can tell us what...
So we're not just Stanley water bottle testers. We're lawyers. We do some products liability case. The case we're most interested in right now is hernia mesh. So the Stanley product is kind of illustrative of, is the product dangerous? Are these, in the case of hernia mesh, it's a medical device, and was the device properly designed? And the people that use this medical device, hernia mesh, have they been properly warned about the dangers of it? And we're trying to show, maybe people haven't been properly warned about these Stanleys either. That's kind of what we're talking about today.
Right. And so it's known, Stanley came out and made a statement that there is lead in the actual cup.
Well, I think that all the tests that we've seen, there's nothing they can do other than say there's lead in the product. I mean, to me, it's absurd. We're putting lead in something that you drink out of. Mm-hmm. I'm not drinking out of it.
Well, we need, yeah. All right. So we'll just put those over here until the end of the video. So there is lead, but they claim that it's encapsulated, so it's safe to drink out of still.
And you see time and time again, the manufacturers will always tell you why their product is safe or not a risk. I think the cigarette companies used to say that. The opioid companies used to say that. And it takes lawyers filing lawsuits for a long time in some products cases. We're talking about lead. I don't think there's any safe level of lead to go into your body.
Yeah. So do we believe them that it's safe? Are we, I mean, they didn't tell us that there was lead in it to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, who's the person who figured it out? How long were they going to keep it a secret?
Like, what extent of damage has to be done for the lead to be exposed as well?
So in any case, we're lawyers, we're talking about lawsuits, potentially Stanley lawsuits. You would have to show some sort of negligence. Putting lead in a drink container, to me, that's probably not the best design. And there's a question, is there a reasonable alternative design? And I think you could very easily say, yeah, you could just make your cup out of stainless steel like everybody else does. There's no requirement that a cup has to have lead. And then they say, well, it's safe as long as the bottom's not damaged. Well, are you supposed to police this and have a ticking time bomb until the lead becomes dangerous?
Right, and you're unaware. And I believe lead is transferable. So if it gets on a surface and then you touch it, you can still have it on you.
Yeah, so most lead poisoning cases come from lead paint. The paint chips off. Little kids eat it, ingest it. You're not supposed to eat paint either, but it's still not particularly good. I think everybody agrees on that.
So what do you think the likelihood that Stanley could recall a product?
I'd say maybe. It seems like they fight these recalls. They're selling these things. They're selling out. And that's the other thing that we see in our product liability or, the hernia mesh medical device litigation is people know it's dangerous, and the company is making so much money that they just fight it and fight it and fight it until they can't fight it anymore. But in the meantime, 5 years has gone by and they've made another $10 billion or whatever it is.
So do you think that this will become a lawsuit?
We'll see if any of the people that are devout Stanley followers end up with lead poisoning. And if they do, I can guarantee you it'll be a lawsuit.
What would a lawsuit, if this became a lawsuit, what would this look like?
There will be allegations of a dangerous design and then a failure to warn. Those are going to be your two biggest claims, just like what we're dealing with in hernia mesh.
Well, let's compare this to something that we do at our office, which you kind of touched on, is hernia mesh.
Yep. We're trying to do this just for an example. We're not trying to, but is the product design safe for people to use? And we're saying that hernia mesh, for various different reasons, whether it's the weave or the material, is not safe for people to use. And they're not getting appropriate warnings. The people that have hernia mesh implanted in their body, they're not being told all the risks of infection and bowel blockage and all sorts of other complications that come from hernia mesh.
Yeah. And
so in this case, we're saying Stanley is not telling anyone of a potential risk of, exposure to lead.
So what have the companies done about it, like for hernia mesh?
They've been defending. So there's a bunch of different companies, Johnson & Johnson, Bard, Covidien. So some of the companies have settled, and the Bard, it's a MDL, multi-district litigation. There's been both federal and state trials. They're continuing to defend those. And then we're working on the Covidien national litigation, and there's state court cases and federal court cases against, those are still the two biggest manufacturers. But they're selling so many of these products, I think they're just fighting it as long as possible.
What's their little trick that these companies use to get away with?
Well, they come up with these studies, and then they hire their own people that are on their payroll, doctors, to do the studies. But when you look into it, they're all supported by the companies. It's like the tobacco companies hired people to do studies about smoke exposure that were getting paid by the tobacco companies. So that's a common thread in any Fortune 500 company. They're funding the studies and they're funding the doctors, and coincidentally, some of the studies come out in their favor.
Or the product turnover, where they just create a new product, right?
Yeah, and there's known problems, so they try to make another product that deals with the problem, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, or it makes a new problem.
So I think the bigger question here is, how much should we be trusting these companies?
Well, it seems like corporate America has let us down quite a few times. That's not always the case, but I'm going to stick to my Yetis, I think. Should we see our...
Let's see the results here. So there is a little comparison. This was mine?
Yep.
Okay. And this was the bottom, where there was some
Yeah, we can just...
erosion, which we can show. Go
I
ahead.
can show it up. That's the bottom. This is the well-used.
Yes. So this one is yellow, but I would say it was yellow to begin with. So it does start yellow. So if it turns into any like pink or purple, there are signs of lead, so I would say mine does not have any lead.
Yeah, and it looks like this one is kind of in the middle, so
We can test again.
we should submit this to a lab. We'll say this is the $10 Amazon test, but it, I don't know, to me that shows
It does have some purple, actually.
Somewhere in the middle.
We're going to have to you can check out some of our shorts and we'll test it again.
We'll do our very exact testing method, but it seems to show, if you believe that this can test for lead, there's the back. So it shows lead detected, and it looks like probably some low levels of lead. I think the test out there.
If we keep it still, you can probably see it's slightly tinted right there at the top. So
We'll see.
Yeah.
Hope nobody gets sick.
I think I'm probably gonna just return this for safe measure.
Okay.
That concludes this episode of the King Law Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and check out our socials at King Law Attorneys. And if you've happened to have been injured or charged with a crime, now you know who to call. King Law. Take charge.